Shalom. Shalom, shalom. First thing and foremost, I'm going to give all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Ba'kakadash. I want to give double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that rule well. Blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect. Noise in this gospel, broad, lifting up the standard of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, wherever it may be. This is a lesson through the spirit. Going into the stock market, the stocks are plummeting. It says inside paper, latest development news in the world. Markets across globes are crashing. U.S. recession fears spark sell-off of international markets. Oil down, crypto down, stocks down. Iran preparing to attack Israel. Bangladesh PM resigns in amid daily protests. UK riots, protests in Venezuela. All right, which Yahweh Shai said, "Behold, I come to send fire on the earth. What would I if it had already been kindled?" So all these particular current events that we're witnessing throughout the world, not only here in America, but in the UK, Nigeria, Venezuela, okay, the markets are crashing. Salakia. All hell is getting ready to break loose, man, because we understand that what they're doing and what we're witnessing is what you call a global reset. Now, I remember last year during the time of Davos when the World Economic Forum basically gave this speech at Davos last year. They was basically stating that they was going to have systematic collapses from cyber attacks to cyber breaches to EMP attacks to destabilizing of markets, and basically we're witnessing right now, you know. So this doesn't come as a shock or a surprise to us because they're dumping, and it's not a surprising thing. This is what Esau said he was going to do in his agenda, and ultimately this is the will of the Heavenly Father, giving us the playbook to know how to move in these times. Okay, which is seeing like with the stock market is completely controlled. I mean, they're controlling the stock market. The elites, they tell the insiders on when to sell their stocks off and to let go of their assets, because if you are a holder of assets and the stock market plunges, so let's just say if you had $150 million in assets and the stock market decides to go down and you didn't get that intel to sell off your particular stocks and trades, then you're going to take a hit, you know. And that's for a lot of people that invest in these markets not understanding the volatility of them, because these markets are totally volatile because they're being controlled by the elites. You know, it's not about random chance. They're collapsing this shit because they getting ready to bring in a digital system, okay, which is going to be the institution of the MOTB. Okay, so I looked up, well, the brother actually sent me this. He actually sent it to the group because you got Caravana, which is down, what is it? Damn, 9.32, 9.32. Tesla, they're down, negative 9.19. Microsoft Corp's, negative 8.62. Coinbase, iShares, Airbnb is even down. Alphabet Incorporation, which is a subsidiary of Google. You got Walt Disney, their stocks are down 3.48%, or 3.87%. Gava Group also, let me see something here. Yep, pretty much the same thing. So yeah, man, the stocks are plummeting. And like I said, this is nothing more than to the trade-off of markets. This is nothing more but to bring in a new system. You know, so they're talking about unemployment rate is going to go up, unemployment is going to skyrocket. And that can't be the case because the average person, they don't understand how stocks work. Okay, I have a little idea on how it works, but I'm not an expert when it comes to the stock market. Though I, talk about doing some investing here and there. But overall, man, these markets are getting ready to collapse. Bitcoin, all this shit. Okay, because it was always meant to be a form of control to get you mentally acclimated to accept the digital system. Okay, so I got this video here, but before I go into the video, I actually had an article here. Japan dumps $22 billion in U.S. treasuries in 1 month as government mounts billion-dollar battle to prop up currency. So basically, they're doing away with this currency, and we told you people, like, during the time, I believe, like in October of this year, I believe there's going to be some type of summit with BRICS. And I believe they're going to go into talks and negotiation about the drop of the dollar. So what are the chances that all this come before this election? You know, and hey, let's just say the market's completely tanked by November, then hey, you will have chaos in the streets. Okay, a national bank in Canada just went under, I believe, a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago. You know, and they don't tell people. People just wake up one morning and then you look at your app to check your account balance. Then it says you have no money or you can't get on the app, and then you try to call the bank. The phones are busy. Then you go to the branch. Where's my money? Where is my money? Then you pissed off at the lower level people that work there when they don't even really have an idea of what's going on. Okay. See, one thing about people, like prime example, let's say a Bank of America went down. The bank tellers and like the tellers, like the people that work the window and shit, they don't tell them people what's going on inside there. They're just working a regular job like you. They don't know. You know, you go to the personal bankers and then you go to like the managements and the CEOs of this corporation. That's when you start to get your answers. But an average bank teller making $18 an hour, they don't know. They're just a customer service representative. They don't know what's going on. But y'all ready to beat up the teller. They don't know what's going on. They don't get told the ins and outs. You know, so basically they got to take the brunt of the abuse, which, hey, it is what it is. But it says Japan is offloading billions of dollars in U.S. treasuries as it fights to prop up its currency. Yeah, because they're realizing that dealing with the U.S. dollar is doing nothing but putting their economies in debt. Because let's just say if China stops buying the debt of the Americans, if they stop buying up all this debt, then what's going to happen? All that money going to come back here, and then nobody's going to be able to buy up the debt. Then America just going to collapse from within. And this is when you're going to see hyperinflation. And the scriptures prophesied of hyperinflation. Okay, that's in Revelation 6th chapter, when it goes into the vision of the black horse. That's going into hyperinflation because eventually these nations are going to dupe the dollar. And when hyperinflation sets in, that's when the cost of everything is going to skyrocket. See, they have what they call quantitative easing. I'm not sure if they ran out of QE4. I'm not sure what stage of the process they're in, but I remember quantitative easing deals with them allowing them to borrow money from the Fed at a 0 to nothing interest rate, so they don't have to pay back so much. But once that expires, then it's a done deal, because so far inflation has come down a couple of points, but it's still relatively high. Okay, rents are still going up, gas prices are fluctuating. One moment it's $2.99, then another day it's $3.17. It's volatile. Okay, but it says new numbers from the U.S. Treasury Department shows Japan sold $22 billion in Treasury securities in May, reducing its holdings to basically 1.1 trillion. All right, it says the move markets the second month in a row that Japan has reduced its massive U.S. Treasury holdings, with an initial scale of $37.5 billion in April. It reads the sell-off is happening amid Japan's efforts to curb the dramatic fall of the yen against the U.S. dollar. But in the past month alone, Japan has spent $36.6 billion to battle speculators betting against the yen. Okay, it says here, Japan is not expected to offer more insight on its currency intervention efforts into November. What are the chances, right? The elections are coming up. However, data on foreign reserves will be released next week that may shed light on whether the government is using its treasury sales to directly pay for its purchases of the yen. Okay, so basically, man, they're getting ready to drop this dollar. And not only them, all these nations, because they've had it with America. Okay, look, it says Japan, Nikkei's log's worst day since 1987, and they're not getting ready to go into debt because of America's shenanigans and that ill dealings. Sending money to foreign, particular political movements, funding war. Okay, nobody's getting ready to pay for that shit, man. So they're getting ready to drop this damn dollar. Okay, because CNN, global stock markets plunge. All right. And like I said, these things are control mechanisms. But let's see what this article says here. Then we get some scriptures.
I'm Gabby, and we're the founders of Magic Spoon. We grew up loving cereal. We quickly realized our childhood favorites were just empty carbs and sugar.
So we set out to invent our own from scratch. We got rid of the sugar, grains, and all the other junk, and that left us with this.
Then we recreated the magical taste, packed it with protein instead, and gave it a classic cereal shape.
We loved it, and everyone else seemed to love it too.
We called it Magic Spoon.
Find us at magicspoon.com or a store near you. The Federal Reserve decided last week not to lower interest rates. Should they have made a small interest rate cut at that time? Did they wait too long, perhaps?
Well, one answer is the Fed made a decision on Tuesday and the bad news data came out on Friday. And so if they'd seen the future a little more perfectly, maybe they should have done things a little bit differently. Look, what the Fed's going to do is it is going to cut interest rates, and it's almost certainly going to do so in September, and it may cut them a few more times this year. This is part of that same dynamic. When inflation got out of hand, it raised interest rates. But remember, I said the economy's getting back to normal. And so for interest rates, getting back to normal means no longer at rates above 5%. Let's get rates down a little, maybe to 3.5% for the official rate. And so that's where the Fed's going. It's going back to normal. It didn't do it last month, probably wishes it did, but it'll almost certainly do it over the next few months.
Okay, so if we see an interest rate cut in September, how much would you expect the Fed to cut it by?
There's a lot of debate in financial markets about whether the Fed will cut by half a percentage point, effectively taking last month's cut and this month's cut and putting them together, or just by a quarter of a percentage point. Look, one answer for your viewers is if the Fed is right or wrong by, a quarter of a percentage point here or there, or if it takes a month longer, we might wish it was a little bit more perfect, but it's still not too far from what's right.
And when that cut happens, how long does it take for it to trickle down to your average citizen?
There's a bunch of ways in which it trickles down to your viewers' lives. The first is, when will the rate on my credit card go down? When will the rate on my mortgage go down if it's an adjustable rate mortgage? And the answer there is within a couple of weeks. So you'll see a little bit of relief coming pretty soon. The other way this affects your life is a lower interest rate will stimulate the economy a little or slow it less. And so you'll see a little bit more spending in the economy maybe over 6, 12, 18 months from now. And the final way is it affects inflation, and that effect takes even longer still. And no matter what the Fed does, I think the overall trend we're seeing right now is inflation's on the way back down to normal. And in fact, it's most of the way there. And if you go to the store this week, you'll notice the prices are remarkably similar to what they were last week.
I feel
All lies. And the crazy part about it is he's saying exactly opposite as what the subcaption is saying. It says, fears of slowing U.S. growth, spooking investors worldwide. Investors understand the trends of these markets. So what the hell is this guy talking about? No, we do understand, like, you have like particular bear markets and things like that, and we do understand that in order to sell off particular trade stocks and stuff like that, things will be cheaper. So, I mean, mortgage rates may come down, you know what I'm saying, a couple percent here. Things may get a little cheaper, but that ain't the telltale sign that your economy is doing good. In fact, when they're in a hurry to sell off stocks or particular assets, they gonna sell them cheaper. You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing they do in stores. Like let's say if you had a particular retail store and you sell a certain type of gym shoe, right? And this gym shoe was thought to sell within its first week. And you may have sold 20%, but you have 80% of that stock left over. So what they gonna do? They gonna fucking mark it down. You're gonna start seeing sales 35% off, 40% off, 50% off. You're gonna start seeing that, right? So it's the same thing here. So they're in a hurry to sell things cheap is because that's a desperate attempt to keep the markets going. But if they don't sell it, then what happens? And ain't nobody got no money like that. So this shit is through. Esau knows that, all right? And you people, man, you just getting taken for a wild goose chase. So this is the book of Luke 23, and I'm gonna start at verses 28. It says, but Yahushua turning unto them and said, daughters of Jerusalem, weep not for me, but weep for yourselves and for your children. These are the words of who you call Christ, which his name is Yahushua. This is why they are in red. It says, for behold, the days are coming in which they should say, blessed are the barren and the wombs that never bear, and the paps which never gave suck. Then they should begin to say to the mountains, fall on us, and to the hills, cover us. For if they do these things in a green tree, what should be done in the dry? And we still in the somewhat green tree now. You still can go to work. You can still pay your bills. You can still buy the things you want. You can still travel for the most part. You know, you can still get the necessities that you need in order to sustain a habitable life. But we coming into the times now that eventually these markets are gonna fail. The dollar is gonna collapse. Rents are gonna go up. I mean, to the point like a $400 apartment in Kansas City just 5, 6, 7 years ago is now $900 to $1,000 a month. You see, we're overpaying for these places, man. The car used sales car. They said that maintenance on vehicles have went up 49% since 2013, and they said it's going to continue to go up. Okay, so it said if they do these things in a green tree, what should they be done in a dry? So if you people are bugging out now and things are still somewhat habitable, I mean, you could pay your bills still. I mean, yeah, things are a little harder now, but basically if you cut out necessities that you don't need and you live this a regular lifestyle, then you would be able to do fine. See, the problem is most people live above their means because that's what they've been taught to do here in America. Greed. Okay. Let's go from here. Was it Luke 23? Going back to this point, 2nd Ezra 16. 2nd Ezra 16th chapter. Let's start at verses 21. It says, "Behold, victuals should be so good, cheap upon earth, that they should think themselves to be in good case, but even then shall evils go upon the earth, sword, famine, great confusion." Yeah, because when markets collapse, things will go up, but prior to that, things may seem relatively cheap. This is why, like, during the time of the retail apocalypse, which we've been in a retail apocalypse since like 2015, you notice like stores like Macy's, Sears, J.C. Penney's, they was having 80% liquidation sales, man. Bath and Beyond, they was selling shit for cheap because they were plummeting, and people would say, "Oh, this is a deal, this is a deal." But you see that big yellow sign on the store says stores are closing. So eventually these stores are gonna close. The mom and pop shop, hey, 70% of those was obliterated during the time of the C-19. You know, so it's not looking too good for these people. And it says here, "Even then shall evils grow upon the earth, sword, famine, and great confusion. For many of them that dwell upon the earth should perish of famine, and the other that escape the hunger should the sword destroy." Because there's going to come a time of purging in America, man. You see what's happening in the world today, and that's going to be my next lesson about these protests happening. I've already covered the ones in Bangladesh maybe 2 weeks ago, but the rise in Venezuela, Nigeria, UK, you even got skirmishes here in America that they're not really shedding light on. But this global protest, this shit is worldwide now, man. People are rising up against their governments because they're seeing that the government has been playing them for the left. And we've been telling you people that these devils ain't got your best interest, but they've pacified you. They've given you Kool-Aid to satisfy your appetites until, you know, you ran out of the drink. Now you bucking up because you're having a sugar rush, you know. It's going to get bad out here, though, and it's already bad. People are literally getting ready to lose their goddamn minds, man. All right? This is the book of Ecclesiastes 12, and I'm going to start at 1. It says, "Remember now the Creator in the days of thy youth, while the evil days come not." It says, remember the Creator. Remember Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, man. Okay? Because you got a lot of Johnny-come-latelys now that want to reach out and say, "Oh, yeah, I want to be down with the program." Nah, bro. Don't do that. Nope. Do what you've been doing. Keep doing what you're doing. Stay over there. Do what you do. Don't come over here. It says, "While the evil days come not, nor the days draw near, years draw near, when thou shalt say, I have no pleasure in them," meaning your old age. Because, you know, it gets to the point, it's like the woman, right? You know, she's a whore from the time she's 14 years old. And then when she hits the age of 50, then all of a sudden she want to settle down and find God. Like, nah, bruh. But it says, "While the sun or the light or the moon or the stars be not darkened, or the clouds return after the rain, in the days when the keepers of the house should tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease because they are few, and those that look out of the windows be darkened." Yeah, the grinders goes into the work. Okay, and it says here, those that look out of the windows be darkened. That window represents the optimist, you know, looking into proper or good times. You know, but now, like, when you see through a window, like, the best thing an average person do on a sunny day when they wake up in the morning, the first thing you want to do is let light in your house. It resets you, right? So you open up the blinds and you allow the illumination to come in. You know, you look at the trees, the sun, the clear sky is beautiful. But in this case, it's like waking up in the morning and opening up the window when it's pitch black outside. You wonder what the fuck happened to the lights. You're going to be in a depressed state. It says, and the doors should be shut in the streets, and the sound of the grinding is low. And it says, and he should rise up at the voice of the bird, which is the alarm clock, and all the daughters of music should be brought low. I mean, and this music is horrible. Okay, America is totally, the Lord is totally taking the spirit out this place. I mean, it's done. It's circling the drain. Okay, that's a medical term, circling the drain. You out of there. All right, so yeah, man, call all Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. I got one more precept, and I ended after that. This is the book of Zephaniah 1. And I'm going to start at verses 10. It says, and it shall come to pass in that day, says Yahweh, that there should be a noise of the cry from the fish gate, and a howling from the second, and a great crashing from the hills, which the hills represent your governments. It says a great crashing going into the stock market crash or the economic collapse, because even though you may have a stock market crash, you can still have an economy that functions off that, because both of them are controlled separate. I mean, they one and the same, but they are different parts to an engine. Okay, they have what they call you have what they call deletes on engines, right? Like you can have an engine and you can do a Cadillac converter delete, but the engine can still run efficiently because you know how to bypass certain shit. Same thing with a stock market. Okay, you don't necessarily need a stock market to uphold a viable economy, but you need an economy to uphold a stock market, if you understand what I'm saying. It's madness, man. It's total confusion. But it says, and a howling from the second, and a great crashing from the hills. But how ye inhabitants of Mactes, for all the merchant people are cut down, and all they that bear silver are cut off. Yeah, man. You CEOs, you stockbrokers, man, you real estate investors. Hey, you getting ready to have a hard day in hell, and this is really going to affect the like your CEOs of these corporations, and also your private investors. This is really who is going to affect the most. Okay, the elites and shit like that, like Gates and what's this guy's name, Bezos, they not affected by this shit because they've already got the intel to sell off everything. They're like, look, sell this shit off and make your money off of it and be done with it. Let these people take the hit. And that's exactly what's going to happen, man. But anyway, I'm going to hit it, giving out praises and glory and honor is due to Yahweh Bashim, Yahweh Shai, Bashim, Chakwadash. Lord's will, you were edified. Until the next lesson. Shalom.
There's poor people around.
Hey, what is this Japanese carry trade?
Holy crap, the market is falling, Bitcoin's falling, Ethereum's falling, stocks are falling, currencies across the world are falling. It seems like the market is collapsing and there are circuit breakers going off right now.
Oh, it looks like the economic downturn is starting to become a reality. And I think a lot of people who have money invested in the stock market are slowly starting to wake up to that fact.
Major market crash warning in the economy going on right now, everyone. The economy really looks like it's on the edge of tipping down into a recession, and as a result, we're seeing the stock prices start to go down, and we're seeing the unemployment levels in America start to skyrocket. And this is a big concern for anyone who's holding assets.